Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is Monday, February the 1st. We made it through January, man.
That's right.
Kind of flew. So I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And lots to discuss today. It was a fairly busy weekend. We're not going to talk about the Senior Bowl and whatnot. If you want our conversation on that, you can always go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. SBR Picks on YouTube. That is where our off-season college football show is. We do it at least once a week, sometimes more. Obviously, we are getting ready to move into draft talk and everything else, so we'll be doing a lot of things over there. Make sure that you are subscribed to that channel as well as this one. Terry jumps in. He said, "What's up?" What is up, Terry? Chris, busy weekend, I'm sure. Oh, winningcureseverything.com is the website. Go subscribe to the podcast, all that good stuff, leave reviews, etc. Chris, why don't you go ahead and tell me what went on this weekend? I want to know what happened.
So I basically spent 26 hours driving to and from Cleveland, Ohio, to spend 36 hours in Cleveland to go to a wedding. So my boy Ian, he came to the Northwestern Ohio State game with us. He lives in the Chicago area, and so when we went up there last year, or not last year, 2019, he jumped on over and spent the weekend with us. One of my best friends in the world. Love that guy. One of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. I feel honored to be his friend. He got married. Super cool girl. And I said, you know what? I'm going.
I'm glad that you did. McKinnon jumps in, by the way. Happy Monday, gents. It is Super Bowl week. Brown Yeti said, "What's up?" So we got some dudes in here. If you want to be a part of the conversation, obviously jump in on the chat. Any of these different platforms, go ahead and knock that out. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, and all of those different platforms. If you chat in there, they will populate right here on your screen, bottom left-hand corner. So you were able to go up there. You were able to see Ian's wedding. First off, what were the COVID protocols like for this wedding, or was it just free reign?
No. It was it was everybody indoors was masked up for the wedding. This was kind of weird. I've never experienced this in my life of going to a wedding. They got married at two different country clubs. They got married at a country club at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock in the afternoon was the wedding. Okay. 3 hours later at 6 o'clock, reception at another country club.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
why would you get married?
I don't criticize. I just showed up for the party, but
yeah, why would you get married at the first country club?
And then 3 hours later, they did a lot of picture taking. Traveled. The wedding party had a party bus, basically take them to some pretty historic hot spot sites all around the hour window of Cleveland to take pictures.
Oh, so they did that after the wedding.
They did that after the wedding. And
I wish we had done that. We did all of our picture taking beforehand, and oh my God, was it awful. I mean, it was we were so tired by the time we got to the wedding. So, and then our reception was just like a whirlwind. My wife and I, I've said this on here before, what we did on our wedding night was we got room service. We didn't get to the hotel until 11:15 or so. We got room service, which was a really crappy salad and some awful sandwiches that looked like they'd been sitting out forever. And then we watched the breakup, on our wedding night, watched the breakup on cable TV and passed out in the middle of the movie. And then woke up and went back home.
Well, the only advice I gave him the whole day was slow down and remember this, because I will tell you that there were many. I've been to a lot of weddings. I remember most all of mine, but it was a whirlwind, like you said, and it was a big long day. And I just told him, just keep taking a breath. Don't get too crazy at the reception. Have enough fun. Keep you a good buzz going. That's okay. You've earned it. But don't get blackout, and don't get stupid. You want to remember this 17 years from now. So, but yeah, it was weird for all of the guests to just kind of have 3 hours of your life to kind of not do anything, but it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange, but But it gives everybody a little break to maybe change clothes.
I got to hang out with Ian's dad, who I'm crazy close to and love that man.
And hadn't got to see in a while.
Yeah, no, definitely hadn't. I hadn't seen him in a long time. So, Yeti asked, could I get a flight? Yes, I wanted to fly. My wife's family's from up there, so we had to take the kids and everybody. And by the time you fly, because you're going to fly cheap, real cheap, couple people. By the time we fly, and then I rent a car and everything, it was just, that's a nightmare. And it was too much. And I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just driving all the way through. We left Thursday after she got off work. I just drove through the night. I was a damn zombie Friday when we got there, and tried to catch up on some sleep Friday. Saturday did the wedding stuff. Sunday, I'm talking 6 a.m. I leave the hotel, and my car is, the wife's SUV, covered in snow, about 3 inches of snow on the car. I got to get off before we can get going.
Well, that's what I wanted to know about. Like, so was it awful? Like,
so we got to leaving, basically the drive from Memphis to Cleveland is actually a really easy drive. It's a long drive, but it's a very easy drive. Give you guys a little geography lesson of the country. You basically go from Memphis to Nashville, Nashville to Louisville, Louisville to Cincinnati, Cincinnati to Columbus, Columbus to Cleveland. So it's like a bunch of 3-hour stretches of nothing, big city, nothing, big city, nothing,
and it's all
nothing,
highway,
big city,
right? All interstate,
all highway. From Cleveland to Columbus, I'm not exaggerating, we're 55 miles an hour. I'm 2 hands on the steering wheel. Snow is coming down pretty hard the entire way. And not a lot of people on the roads, a lot of people like in the ditch, in the median, like done got a little squirrely on them, and I'm just trying to keep it, in the tire grooves, man. And once we hit Columbus, I stopped, I pulled over. I said, I gotta have breakfast, I gotta have coffee, I gotta have something, because I'm like, my anxiety was through the roof. And from Columbus to Cincinnati, it rained, but it was all rain. The roads were completely clear. I was 75 and trucking it, no problems. I just needed to stop and just kind of hit the refresh button,
Oh yeah.
After the white knuckling it for, the first, what's normally 3-hour stretch of the drive. And it was about a 4-hour stretch of the drive. So.
That's not too terrible. But yeah, I mean, it's driving in snow is awful, especially when you are not used to it. Man.
Well, snow doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me. Just go slow. Like, people who get squirrely, I think, try to get crazy. Just be normal, be cool, just act like you know what you're doing, and just be an adult for a minute and calm down and not get too crazy. Snow is not, so we don't get snow here, and people make fun of us in the South because we shut everything down as soon as snow comes in. Because it's not snow, it's ice.
Yeah, it's typically ice.
Okay.
And
we don't have the stuff to clear. I'm really good at driving on ice. No, nobody in the world is good at driving on ice because it's not made to be driven on.
Yeah. No, you're 100%
Your car
right.
wasn't made to handle ice. There are features in most cars today that are well adapted to handle snow. She has a nice Subaru. It's all-wheel drive. I was not worried at all going 55 and trucking it,
Yeah. No, it's not too bad. Not too bad. Birdie jumped in, by the way, said, good afternoon. I bet it was great to get away, Chris. I'm jealous. We did the same thing for a funeral back in summer of 2020. Mm-hmm. Like, went up to Indianapolis. It's a pretty long drive, but stayed for like a day and then came back. But even then, like, it was kind of nice to get out of the house a little bit, Like, just
I don't mind the getting out of the house, driving that long with little kids in the car. And I mean, they're 7 and 10, or they're about to be 7 and 10. But like, and they're great, by the way. I will tell you, they're awesome road trippers. I mean, my oldest just sleeps the entire time. She said less than 30 words the whole time. The other one, she'll play with toys, she'll color, she'll watch her iPad for a few hours. Like, they're troopers, man.
Oh yeah. I can understand it.
Watching the wife peek over and see how fast I'm going every now and then, like, that pisses me off. I'm like,
the backseat drivers, right?
You want to do this?
Terry said, you're friends with the rich folk, huh, Chris? Talking about the country clubs. He said that's old rich money.
Oh, no. There's no doubt that this is very, very, both these families, the bride's family and the groom's family, do well off. They're very, very, very well off. So
I wonder if that was part of it. Are they both from there?
Yep.
So maybe one was a member of one country club and the other was a member of the other country?
No. So Ian's family are not country club people at all. I will assure you of that. No, they've never been a member of a country club in their life. They have money, but they have, they're just very normal people. You would not know that they had money if you knew them. I mean, their dad lives in the same house he's lived in for, 40 years. I mean, it's just
gracious.
He drives a, I think a Camry or something. Like, I mean,
it's a good car.
He's just a normal guy. He's an attorney that he has worked his way up to a point where he only argues in front of the state Supreme Court in Ohio.
There you go.
So like he's been doing it for a while and he's really good at what he does. But he's at a point where he could retire any day he wants.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, they're not. He's not country club. I don't know anything about her family at all, other than her dad is one of the funniest people I've ever met in my life. I laughed so hard at him. We had a great time. So he humped my leg at one point in time. It was awesome.
He what?
Yeah, you heard me. It's fine. We'll move on. No one wants to hear about my weekend. It wasn't crazy. The snow was good.
Cool. It sounds good. I think that's a little more entertaining than some of the stuff that happened over the weekend. But we can dive into.
We'll get into some of this. I like some of it.
Oh, McKinnon, by the way, my dumbass had to make the drive to Columbus my junior year for the NCAA championship at Ohio State by myself when I overslept and missed my flight. He said, I assure you it ain't easy drive by yourself. Coming back was worse because of the hangover from the after party. Worst drive of my life. And then
so driving back, I mean, you're talking 6 a.m. We got in bed from the wedding. Wedding ends at 11. So reception, not as socially distanced as the wedding. Wedding, super strict. Everybody masks on. The reception, you were supposed to have your mask if you weren't sitting and eating, but
it kind of got loose with the rules.
It was pretty loosey goosey, and we all had a good time. I mean, I'm sure it was a great big super spreader, but
I have a feeling all of them are at this point. But I was curious what the rules and restrictions are in different states and whatnot now, because
restaurants
we're stuck down
seem
here.
The exact same as here. Restaurants seem the exact same. The downside is like they were on curfew, so nothing open after 10. The weekend that we got there, it got pushed back to 11, which didn't matter to us because
we're at a wedding.
We were at a wedding, so I don't know how the curfew affected the wedding. We left out of there on a shuttle back to our room at like 11:30, 11:45. So maybe businesses had to close down at 11, but I don't think. I mean,
it may not have been a real
public transport getting us from our hotel to the the second
reception
country club.
Yeah, that's interesting. Brown Yeti said it's a 14-hour trip from West Texas to Tupelo. Said I make that trip often by myself. It gets tough sometimes. Yeah, I can believe that. I believe that.
I went through a lot of big cities from Tupelo to West Texas either. I at least had the luxury of, within 3 hours at any point in time, you're 3 hours away from mega city, so you can definitely stop and get anything you need.
Matt Miller jumped in. Chris and Gary, do parents have a favorite kid?
Yes.
Wanting to know as a
anybody
son.
who says they don't, they're a damn liar. They're an absolute liar. Absolutely. And I make my kids fight for my love. I let them know every day, you're the winner, you're the loser. You're the favorite, you're the good one, you're the bad one today. Be better. Always be better.
I got to make a clip out of that.
Yes, that's the truth. Now, I've only been a parent for 10 years, okay? And there were times where she was the only one there for 3 of those 10, and she wasn't always the favorite then.
Let's talk some NFL. You want to talk NFL?
Come on.
So we don't get you in any more trouble.
Nobody would get me in trouble will ever listen to this, Gary.
That's probably a very, very true statement.
There are 0 people in my life that listen to this. Terry and Matt, that's the list of people that communicate with me on a daily basis that will ever listen to this.
There you go. Birdie jumps in wanting to talk about exactly what we are bringing up here, and that would be, holy hell, did the Rams ever overpay for a 33-year-old quarterback who can't beat teams with a winning record? So let me preface this with Matt Stafford was traded from the Detroit Lions over to the Los Angeles Rams for quarterback Jared Goff, who has this massive, ridiculous quarterback contract, and 2 first-round draft picks for later drafts, because obviously they already traded some of the more early ones for Jalen Ramsey last year, and a 3rd-round pick, which they will get back this season for a compensatory pick. So when I saw it, my immediate reaction was, oh, Stafford's going to kill it there. This is going to be great, da-da-da-da. And then you start looking at the numbers and whatnot, and Matt Stafford and Kirk Cousins are, Kirk Cousins actually has better numbers than Matt Stafford. I do think a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's Detroit, and, they just hadn't had a lot of success in Detroit, but I don't know that
Minnesota has a winning franchise history.
But that's the thing. The numbers are not too different, but Minnesota is
those franchises,
much more. Yeah,
Minnesota's not the butt of the joke Detroit is, but those franchises aren't too far apart from being the exact same.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. So
they've made the playoffs a lot more recently, and that's the only separation. Is the last 4 years Minnesota's been in the conversation. Maybe 6 years has been in the conversation of being a good team, but they got the same amount of rings.
Yeah, no, you're right. Matt Miller, by the way, they overpaid, but they also got better. Oh, and he brought up worst city to drive through during rush hour. My pick is Washington, D.C. Mine would be Atlanta. So
I've never been to D.C.
Whoa.
I've never been to some of these real bad places. Like people talk about L.A. traffic being awful. Like I've never driven through L.A. I don't know.
Atlanta at rush hour is putrid. I mean, it is.
So
the worst
Gary will tell you this about me, road tripping with me. Chris gets in the car, and when we get to a city, because I'm sure Chicago would be up there as one of the worst cities to drive around in. No, that car gets parked at the hotel, and I never get in that car again until we're leaving.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm just going, we live in a world where we're going to Uber, Lyft, or walk everywhere we go.
And I like that. You changed my my outlook on how to vacation.
Why should I be trying to navigate this damn place? I don't live here. I don't know how to get around here, but I'm sure the people who drive for Uber and Lyft live there. They know where they're going.
That's it. You completely changed my outlook. What was that? I guess a year and a half ago.
Yeah, when we went to Chicago.
When we went to Chicago, and anything that I have done since then, I do the same thing. So,
let them do it, man. It's not that expensive.
Yeah, it's worth
It'll
the
save
price.
you the headache.
Worth
In most
the
of these big cities, you got to pay to park all this shit, all those places. No, what you pay to park, you could have paid somebody to drive you there and drop you off.
Brown Yeti said Cousins hadn't had to play in Detroit except for on the road. Birdie said, I get that they had to give that extra first rounder so the Lions would take that contract, but Jesus. See, here's the thing. So I think that the Rams, moving back into the Stafford to the Detroit, all that kind of stuff, I think that the Rams realize first-round picks are just a crapshoot, right? So there is one line of thinking that they are assets. You can trade them. You can do whatever to get your team better, or you can hit on them and you can make your team significantly better with a young, cheap contract. The Rams have figured out, hey, we know Matt Stafford is good. We can take good over potential, and we'll take good every time, right? The question is, how good is Matt Stafford? Like, is he? I think he is significantly better than Jared Goff. Is he that much better than Jared Goff to give up 2 first-rounders and what? Now, you did get that contract off the books, so that definitely helps. What are your thoughts on the trade?
Well, they didn't really, because they're eating a lot of that dead money. And they're eating all, for Detroit's sake, they're eating all of Stafford's dead money as well.
Okay. So
they gave up a lot, and they're eating a lot of cap. So they basically are the Saints in the sense of these teams are just living year to year, hoping that the league implodes at some point in time, or they win it all, because they're not going to be able to pay their debts. Like they're at some point in time, they're going to come to a point where they just can't massage the cap enough to make it work. And I mean, they really are going stars and scrubs. What do I think about the trade?
Yes,
I think the Rams got better. I think Stafford's good. Stafford is 33 years old. Stafford has had several very serious injuries that are not jokes by any stretch of the imagination for a 33-year-old. I think the Rams are a pretty good football team as put together right now. I think Stafford makes them significantly better. I do think their weakest part was at the quarterback. So the problem is if they don't win it next year or the year after, I think this is going to be a huge embarrassing loss, because at some point in time, the debt's going to come due, and without all those picks, they're not going to be able to rebuild or reload, because they're just not going to be able to. Talking about the quality of the picks and is there much difference? So I've heard 4 different people talk about this today on different podcasts and TV networks stuff. There's no difference between the 32nd pick and the 35th pick. Yeah, but the problem is if you win the Super Bowl, let's say you don't win the Super Bowl and you would give up the 31st pick. Let's say you make it and you lose. Because if you win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter what it costs you. It was worth it. Okay. Let's say you make it to another Super Bowl and you lose, and that's all you get. The difference is not between the 31st pick overall and the 35th pick overall, okay? It's not that first round turned to a second round. The difference is the 31st pick and the 60th pick, because that's where you pick. You don't get the 35th pick just because you gave up the first round pick. You still pick at the back of the line every round. So why they're comparing the first pick and the 35th pick, I don't know. They're just going to take the 4th overall pick? They're just going to take their pick? Just screw you. We're going to take this pick. It's not yours anymore. Well, what are you talking about? What are we doing? So I think there's a pretty, so while you say it's a crapshoot, I don't think it's that much of a crapshoot, by the way. I think there are certain rules to draft by. I've passed on some stars. Me and you have a history of doing this show for the last 5 years. So every year during the draft, I go all in on guys and I'm out on guys. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now I will tell you that I have guys I've been out on. I've passed on some stars. I've passed on some really good players. Okay. They're usually always DBs or safeties. They're always secondary guys, because I don't know how to evaluate that in college, because the college game and the pro game is literally speaking English and the other one speaking Chinese. They're so different. The defenses that they run and the talent they play against, all right? Ohio State's not going to go up against a good, not a great receiver, a good receiver the entire year. So tell me how great their DB is, because those white guys that they're guarding at Northwestern and Iowa, they don't scare me. Okay.
No, I'm with you.
So tell me how good that guy is. I don't know how to grade those dudes. So I'm always going to pass on them. So I've passed on great players before. I passed on Derwin James. I've passed on Ward for Cleveland. I didn't want those guys, but I'll tell you this, there's not a single player I was in on that was a bust. Not one. So I don't think it's a crapshoot. And if I can do this shit from my couch watching the combine, I don't get to meet these guys. I just watch the games. I watch the combine, and that's the evaluation that I give them. All right.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a boom or bust thing. I don't think it's that hard. I don't think it's over. I think we overcomplicate it, and I think teams let Todd McShay and they let Mel Kiper and they let the guys from the NFL Network talk them into players. I think they say, well, this guy's an owner, usually it's an owner, says this guy's supposed to go here. Why are you passing on him? And then it becomes in trouble.
Yeah, that's where you get in trouble.
So I want to talk about the Lions part, though. Can we do that for a minute?
Yes, I would love to know your thought process here.
I think this is a great deal for the Lions, okay? And while they're probably the loser because they gave up the best player, I don't know. Man, they got a haul.
Yes.
And they unloaded so much money. And they're probably just going to cut Goff. Well, they probably won't. But if Goff doesn't work out, they don't care, because they got all the picks to take Goff in his contract.
Well, I'm very curious to see what they do with their pick early, because they could go after a quarterback.
Well, that's what I assumed they were going to draft a quarterback anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean they talked about it last year, the possibility of drafting a quarterback early, and I don't even remember where they draft here, and that's what I'm curious about. Is what where would seventh? They? Yeah, I think it's 7th. I think that's right. All right, so this NBC mock has got Zach Wilson going to them.
Yeah, that's a great pick. That's a great pick. They're going to have the most highest paid backup in the league. But that's not his fault. That's not their fault. They didn't sign that contract. They just got a shitload of picks for getting rid of Stafford. Getting Goff back was just part of the deal. I mean, they didn't care. That's just a money thing. They got an extra first-round pick if they took Goff. All right, we'll take Goff, and we'll take another first-round pick.
Like, this is another one of those things that, so there's another one. Walter Football has got Trey Lance going there. So everybody seems to agree.
Has them taking the quarterback.
They're taking the quarterback.
If you look at the date where all those things were written, those are all written before this trade. They'll have them drafting the quarterback any damn way.
Yeah. So here's my thought process on it. I think that, and not just on this trade, but period. Like, this is Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, two insanely highly and Jimmy Garoppolo had like a massive contract, right? The overpaying for quarterbacks, I have to imagine at some point is going to stop, right?
So this brings us to a whole different conversation now, Gary. This is I've been saying this for a while now. I've definitely done the roller coaster with Baker. Honest about that, all right?
Yeah.
I've been as low as somebody can be on a guy with Baker, thinking when his rookie deal's up, you just draft another guy and you move on, or you sign somebody else and you move on. I'm not in that phase now. I love Baker. I don't know that I would call him a franchise quarterback, but my question is this: he ain't Watson. He's not Rodgers. He's not Mahomes. He's not one of the best 3 to 5 to 7 quarterbacks in the league. Do you have to pay because every quarterback has been the richest quarterback contract ever. And then the next guy that gets paid is the new richest. At some point in time, are we going to have a world where we say, we really love this guy, but why do we have to pay you $40 million? Why can't we just pay you $23 million?
I mean, it's the Tom Brady thing. It's the Tom Brady effect, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's Tom Brady said, hey, I could take up $40 million of your cap.
That's right.
Or you could go get me some better players.
That's right.
And have, because myself with a good wide receiver,
that's
worth $40 million. Myself by myself with nobody to throw to is not worth $40 million. And that takes a lot of ego or a lack of ego to be able to say, you know what? Like, this team can only be so good if I'm the highest paid player.
That's right.
Like, and even if he is the highest paid player.
It's one thing to be the highest paid, but you don't have to be double what everybody else is making. Have to be, if somebody else is making 20, why can't you make 27? Like, but you're now the highest paid player there. Why is that not okay? And if Myles Garrett's on your team, it's okay for you not to be the highest paid player because you have a monster that you got to get paid.
On the other side of that, if you are, and now everybody is looking out for themselves, and I'm not trying to demonize or talk ill of Jared Goff. If he was
or if anybody else trying to go get their money. Hang on. That deal, listen, that deal is on. So first off, you saw all the rundown of what they've paid to get him, right?
Right.
So they gave up all these first-round picks just to get him. But that wasn't Sean McVay. That was Jeff Fisher, right? And I put that on Jeff Fisher. He had to inherit this guy. And he was so good with him. He took this team to a Super Bowl in spite of Jared Goff being the quarterback. That's what Wonder Boy can do. That's what Sean McVay can do. Look, he comes in, he's got the gelled up hair, he's got the pretty pecs, he's got the perfect areolas. You know, he walks around his shirt off all the time. He looks great. The problem is his dumb ass is the one that gave him that extension. He was a part of that management team that paid him all that money.
It was the extension that's crazy, and it's not on God. Like, if the team offers to pay you that, then absolutely.
Get as much as you can.
But right. I'm always curious because we talk about it with college head coaches. So it's college head coaches and NFL quarterbacks, right, that we're always talking about as being overpaid, and the buyout is ridiculous, and you can't cut them because of the dead cap space, and right? What I'm so confused about is why do organizations always believe that they cannot let this guy go, like that they have to extend for this monster amount of money? I have not understood that. It hasn't made sense, like, hardly anywhere.
I don't know. So the difference between them and college head coaches, that's an even dumber argument because nobody's even bidding against those guys. But there's not 137 college football teams. There wasn't a damn one of them calling Jeremy Pruitt. Not a one. And they gave him an extension in a raise.
But, hey, Gus Malzahn.
I would bet there were some teams that would call Gus to try to steal Gus.
Well, there was
not for more money.
There was Arkansas. Like they were talking. Yeah. He was talking to Arkansas.
But that's how he gets it, though, right? Is
I mean, I guess, but even still,
but you're right. Like that's dumber than this. At least with this, if the Browns try to offer him Baker, let's put this in the Cleveland spot because this is going to come up in the next year or two. If the Browns try to offer him $26 million a year, a fair deal for like 5 more years, I'm talking you're going to be the Browns quarterback for a decade, okay? And he says, no, there's going to be somebody out there from these 32 teams that needs a quarterback that has drafted 2 busts in a row, okay? And they're afraid there's an owner that says my front office doesn't know how to pick quarterbacks. So I'm just going to go buy one. And they're going to offer him $35-40 million.
Yeah.
And so now Baker has to say, do I stay in Cleveland where I love this place and I've built, a brand here for almost half. And that's a problem. And most times the player's going to leave. And so the Browns now have to say, all right, well, we'll give you the damn 40. And then
and then your franchise is set back for however long.
Now you're sitting and hoping he doesn't become Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. Now I think he was better than those 2 blokes before we ever got to this point. So
I agree. I do agree with you. So we brought up college head coaches. Let's hit on this topic right quick, and that would be the Nick Saban recruiting video. Did you see that this was leaked over the weekend? So a recruit recorded a Zoom call or a FaceTime or whatever it is with Nick Saban, and I have never seen one of these leak. Have you ever seen one?
No.
So first, what were your thoughts on it being leaked?
I didn't think it was leaked. I think this is orchestrated.
You thought it was orchestrated?
Yep.
Okay, I'm very curious. Why do you think it was orchestrated?
Why do I think it's orchestrated? Because nobody in the world being recruited by Nick Saban would do. Nick Saban's not dumb. He's a smart guy. He knows exactly what's going on, where it cuts off and where it starts, and the part that gets leaked is only positive and good for Nick Saban in Alabama.
That's entirely true, but
so nobody is leaking. If it was leaked, you would get the whole conversation.
So here's
you
the
would
deal.
get it all.
It is a 15-minute call, and there are the full 15 minutes that are out there if you can still find them. Some of them were deleted, of course, but once it's on the internet, it's out there forever. The clip that's been going around Twitter and whatnot is only like 2 minutes and 20 seconds or whatever.
It's Nick doing his sell. Yeah. And what is he saying? Come here, you'll win championships.
Yeah, basically. Okay. Yeah, we've had more defensive linemen drafted than losses in the past, 11 years. We've had more linebackers drafted than losses in the last 11 years. Whatever.
Yeah, how are those guys doing in the NFL, by the way?
They all seem to be making money.
Oh, not a lot of second contracts.
I mean, okay.
I've gone through the numbers, my boy. How many you got in the Super Bowl? You got more players in the NFL than anyone. You got
starters at all 22 positions.
I think it's a goose egg.
That's it is a goose egg for the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's it. You managed to find the 2 teams in the NFL that don't have Alabama players. So
that are the 2 best teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. It is what it is.
How are they doing in the Super Bowl?
Either way, I am not that worried about it right now. What I'm talking about is the recruiting pitch was basically perfect. At least the 2-minute sell job was.
That's what I'm talking about. Why? How on earth did it get leaked? Does anybody ever get anything leaked that's super polished? That's just perfect? No, it's always somebody like what I just did right there. Stumbles over a phrase or a word. Like in naturally speaking to other people, we missay things and we just. You're not trying to do anything nefarious. You just sound like a moron sometimes saying things. All right. I got to think that Nate Saban's no different, and he's substantially smarter than me. I'm not saying that, but like, I don't think he's any different. He's a person, right?
Yeah.
The fact that it was so clean, it was so perfect, it was so polished. I don't know that the kid leaked it. I think Alabama people leaked. I think they're the ones that recorded it.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I'm curious because obviously signing day is coming up on Wednesday. I want to see if anybody's offer gets pulled. I want to see, because Saban would know who he was talking to at this point, right? Like, who leaked this? Who did it? If anybody's offer gets pulled, then it is what it is. Now, it could be somebody for 2022, and we'll see about that. Obviously, there was a lot of big news. Hey, what did you think about Eric Gilbert, by the way, going to Florida? A little weird.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of that.
That's it. We'll talk more on the college football show about that situation. But yeah, the recruiting pitch stuff, I've never seen that leaked. Brown Yeti jumps in. The guy who leaked it would have his recruiting stopped just because his balls would be so big that he wouldn't be fast enough to play for Alabama. I mean, it does take, it's not necessarily that guy that leaked it, right? There's a lot of people that have access to different things and whatnot. The world of technology is ridiculous now. But why you would record that, I mean, Chris, you might have a valid point there. You might have a valid point.
It just sounded too polished and too clean. I'm sure he said that phrase and he said those things a million times in his life, and that would be the argument. But it's never gotten leaked before from any player, any team, any organization ever.
It's strange. Like, what would be the reasoning for putting it out there?
Yeah, why would you as the player put it out there? You have no benefit from it. It doesn't benefit you at all. It doesn't help you.
Even still, how would it, does it benefit Alabama just to have
hell
facts
yeah.
out there?
Now Saban just got his pitch to every student, every recruit in the country. Yes.
Yeah, but they're not offering every recruit in the country.
But it doesn't matter. There are guys that they're not offering or that they haven't spoken to yet that are now going to come call them. There are guys from 2022 class, 2023 class, 2024 class that all watch that. And now they're gonna go come find him.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. I found
the part in there where he says you need to play good enough to play. You need to get good enough to play at Alabama. That says he's speaking to future draft classes, which means this was completely set up by Alabama.
Well, so
him to get into all those homes, his pitch.
That part that you're talking about, he said he said it was insulting for other teams to negative recruit by saying if you go to Alabama, you're just going to sit on the bench for a couple of years. Like, why don't you come here where you can actually play? And he said it's insulting because they're basically admitting, first off, they're not as good as Alabama is. And second, they're telling you that you're not good enough to play here, and I wouldn't be talking to you if you weren't good enough to be playing at Alabama. It's the perfect recruiting pitch. It's iron sharpens iron. It's competition. And he brings up,
you think
multiple
Saban
players.
quotes the Bible in any other way?
The Bible?
Well, it's iron sharpens iron comes from Bible. That's scripture.
Hey, he didn't. Did he actually say iron sharpens iron? Like, he was talking about competition.
He did, because you're the third person that said that. So.
Maybe he did. What I know he was talking about was competition.
It's not important. I just find it funny that
he was
talking
talking
about
of
Satan. He probably knows the Bible pretty well. So.
He's a Catholic. I mean, he goes to church, goes to mass every Sunday.
Sure.
Anyway,
the devil was an angel.
Look, the iron sharpens iron thing. He's talking about Jonathan Allen, defensive lineman, taken in the first round, went up against Cam Robinson in practice every single day. Each of them said that it made them better by competing against each other more so than competing against, guys in actual games. And NFL scouts would tell you the same thing. So, I think it was a great pitch. I'm just shocked that it was leaked. I'm curious if we are going to see more of this, because now that somebody's video has gone viral,
so
are we going to see Ryan Day? Are we going to see?
Honest question.
Go ahead.
What the hell do you think he tells these kids?
All the exact same stuff that we just saw. Like, it's exactly
we need
what
to
I thought.
See a video for it?
No, I'm just curious.
Just like confirmation bias. We all think now. Everybody now today thinks Nick Saban's a great recruiter. They don't start 3 stars. They don't have one on the roster in the history of him being at Alabama.
That's not true.
What are we talking about? Well, so now today, because we saw this video, we now think Nick Saban's a good recruiter.
Hey,
he's got a good speech. He's got a good story to tell. He's spun a good yarn. Like, what are we doing?
Who would you want? Well, we're going to save that for the CFB show. I've got some ideas for that. Let me write that down. Let's see. So yeah, I know the answer. I know the question you're going to ask.
But
don't answer it here. Don't answer it here. Let's wait. Let's let everybody go watch on the CFB show because I need to think about it for myself a little bit and figure out exactly how I want to ask the question, et cetera. Right. So let's close out the show with this. We're already 40 minutes deep. Let's talk about Patrick Reed, somebody else that's fairly unlikable. Same with Nick Saban. So he wins the Farmers Open over the weekend, right? And it's by 1 stroke. And
no, he won by 5 strokes.
Oh, I thought it was only 1.
No, he won by 5 strokks.
Well, I'll be damned. Either way,
because if they would have assessed the two-stroke penalty, he still wins the tournament.
So what I'm curious about here is I want to know, will he ever be able to get rid of the moniker that Tony Finau was 9 under, and Henrik Norlander and Ryan Palmer and Xander Schauffele and Victor Hovland. Man, a bunch of guys tied for second. Good gracious.
Yeah.
So is he ever going to be able to get rid of that moniker that he is a cheater? Because Twitter exploded when it happened with him, and yet Rory did the exact same thing.
Rory didn't do the same thing. That's not true.
That's what the rules committee for the PGA said.
Rory did the same thing. Before Rory picked up the ball, he called the guys that he was playing with to watch him pick up the ball.
Okay. All right. So
very, 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 very different things.
That is true. That is true.
As extreme different as you can. If we all come over and we all watch you pick up the ball, very different than you picking up the ball and then calling people over.
Okay.
So don't say that it's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, valid point. What I'm curious about.
You can't stop being called a cheater, Gary, if you're constantly doing shady shit.
That's what I was.
That ain't on me, the guy calling you a cheater. Okay. You've been kicked out of school for cheating. All right. You've been thrown off of multiple teams for cheating. So those weren't allegations. And
by the way,
I'm not going to whatever.
Everybody that's listening, he's not talking about me. By the way, when he says he's talking about Patrick Reed. Yeah.
Yeah. This is something he's done in the past. So does that mean he's always going to do it? Does that mean he is just going to be that guy forever? No, I think people can change. I don't think he has, though. I think he is an arrogant, brash person. I think he bullies people. If you listen to him talk to the rules guy, this is somebody who. So there's 2 ways to talk about something. Okay, when my daughter comes home and she did really good in school, she says, "Do you want to see my folder?" Sure. And so I start looking through her folder, and it's good. I know before I grab the folder if she asks, "Do you want to see it?" if it's good. Now, when she says, "You got to see my folder," and then starts giving me a bunch of things where, remember, this was the day I wasn't feeling good when I went to school. And like now, so the way he's talking to the rules official, he's constantly telling them, this was embedded, right? This was embedded, right? This was embedded, right? Like he's bullying the guy. He's trying to get the answer he wants by pressuring this guy, because when somebody comes at you that way, you have to look at them and say, no, I don't think that was embedded. That's a penalty. And that's a lot. Like, it's easy here on the internet for us to have a goofy show to say these things. When you're standing face to face with somebody who is a champion in this sport, who is a top level performer in this sport.
Yeah, this is his 9th win, by the way, on the PGA Tour.
And who is pretty physically imposing. Okay, this is not meek and mild little guy like some of the golfers used to be back in the day. Okay, it's hard to look that guy in the eyes, and you're basically calling him a liar and calling him a cheater if you don't. So you just say, okay, all right, yeah, no, that looked embedded, whatever. But in the history
there's no backup.
There's
no, like, it's basically you and him and his caddy, and of course his caddy is going to be right. And there were a couple other guys just around, but they
weren't around when he picked the ball up, though.
Yeah,
that's the problem. The other thing, when he picked the ball up, I've seen golfers pick up golf balls I mean, umpteen million times in my life of watching golf. I've never seen somebody pick up a golf ball and palm it. Not once. They always pick it up with two fingers. Yep. So if any dirt or debris or anything came off of it, that's all supposed to stay on the ball. Okay. And he picks it up and he palms it. And by picking it up hard and aggressive, he can help make an indentation in the ground. And then that way you can show, well, look at the hole it made. Yeah. It was embedded, right? This is the problem with Patrick Reed. I think he 100% cheated on that. Here's the word. The problem we live in golf is we have certain rules and certain things have certain penalties, right?
Right.
It's a 2-stroke penalty. He still wins. He doesn't know that he would have won if he would have gotten that 2-stroke penalty at that point in time or not.
Yeah, it was in the third round. It was on Saturday.
But the problem is let's say the ball is not embedded, but that rough is thick, and he hits it out of bounds. That's worse than the 2-point stroke that he would have gotten. You know, and you don't know that mentally he doesn't begin to fall apart. And therefore he does lose that 5-stroke lead.
Yeah, because instead, like he would be playing, or because he got the drop, that basically meant he was playing with house money. Like he got away with something. So it's just,
if they assess him the 2 strokes and he still hits it clean, he's probably fine. The issue is if somebody comes over there and says, no, it's not a drop, you can't pick it up. It's not embedded. You don't get to drop it. You have to play it where it lies. And he shanks it. And he doesn't hit it well at all. Mentally, then you begin to spiral. You hit a bad shot.
We've seen it happen with
another
Phil.
Bad shot. It happens all the time.
I mean, Mickelson has done it routinely.
Like it happens all the time. It's just one of those things where he is a bully. He is an asshole. He likes to push people around in a sport that it's pretty easy to push people around because most people that play golf are pretty laid back and they're ultra competitive, but they're not brash bully type people.
Well, no, hey, Mark jumps in on YouTube. He said golf is all about honor code and Reed broke it. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to continue to break it, by the way. Like you asked, can he ever get rid of this moniker on him? No,
not acting like this.
That's who he is. Like why would we stop thinking he's a cheater if he constantly continues to cheat?
That's a valid point.
Like, is it wrong for me to continue to think of him this way?
I don't think so.
Because I think he's a cheater, but that's because I watch him constantly cheat and try to break rules. And this isn't the Astros banging trash cans. Okay?
No, this is one guy.
This is one guy playing a sport that you're supposed to call fouls on yourself, and nobody does that anymore, or very few people do. He damn sure would never do it.
No. If he can get away with something, that's the way.
And that's the issue. Is he's one of these guys that if I played with him in a competitive thing and we were teed off together, I literally would just tell my caddy, "You follow that guy. Don't follow me. You follow him.
Follow him.
I'll grab my clubs when we're close. I'll come to you to grab the club, and I'll go to my ball. You go watch him."
Brown Yeti said, "I don't know what happened, but if you act shady, you'll be a cheater in everybody's mind." And he said, "What is the censor on the chat? Because I hit it every other show." What is he talking about? That's
I don't know.
I guess like certain words that don't come in or something like that. I guess Yeti, I have no idea, buddy. I got no idea.
I've never been censored on YouTube, but I don't swear on YouTube. I just swear on the video.
There's random stuff that we have found out that won't come through if it's typed into the chat for whatever reason. So I don't know. You just toss in like some different,
what do you think of Patrick, though?
I think that he is a shyster. I think he's shady. I don't think he would ever call a foul on himself. The rules committee did come in and say that, yeah, this was okay. Everything was good. And it almost makes me feel bad the way that he is vilified. But at the same time, I think he does it to himself.
I don't feel bad if you do it to yourself. Like if you're like, this is the bed you made.
Yeah.
I can't feel sorry for you. Did this shit. You treat people this way.
Yeah.
When you
the way
treat
he talks,
people this badly, then you don't get people to feel, you can't feel sorry for that person.
The way that he talks to people is a massive turnoff. Like,
yeah,
he has got such an ego about it.
Go back and listen to it. Go back and listen to it and think about the arguments he's making. Literally the way he's asking questions. is to get what he wants.
Oh, it'd be leading the witness in a court case.
Yeah, in a court of law. That's right. Like you're not supposed to ask that. You explain the situation and then you see what happens from it.
Yeah, you let them make a ruling. You don't tell them what the ruling should be.
He's selling. He's arguing for a call, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I tend to agree. McKinnon said, "Hell, golf is one of the only games you can call a penalty on yourself." But
it's not the only one you can. It's the only one you do.
Yeah, like
I mean, if you were in basketball and you were like, "Hey, I fouled that guy," they would call a foul.
Yeah, but I mean, you'd have to explain it so like the game is moving so fast in basketball that you can't. That's why you have to have refs, right?
If I foul a guy and the ball goes out of bounds and they didn't call the foul, I could walk over to the ref. The game is stopped for that second, and I could say, "Hey, I hit him. So ball."
Yeah, okay.
And the ref would be like, "Okay, it's their ball." Like, why would you say this if it wasn't true? And nobody would ever do that, by the way. But it's not the only game you can call a penalty on yourself. It's just the only game you do call a penalty on yourself.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Mark jumps in, asked, "Are you guys doing another show before the Super Bowl?" Yes, we will have two more.
Yeah.
We got our Wednesday show and our Friday show, per the usual. After football season, of course, going to try and move to a little more podcast exclusive stuff. So make sure everybody is subscribed to the podcast. We will be moving to only one live show per week, but we will have 3 podcasts per week. One of those, of course, being the live show. This Thursday, we are going to be on the SBR YouTube page, YouTube show, whatever, with the NFL guys discussing the Super Bowl. So make sure that you tune in for that. That show starts at, what time is it? 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday? I believe that's right. So we'll be jumping in for that, but we will also be discussing our stuff right here on the Winning Cures Everything channel. You can find it at any of these places: Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, or you can grab the podcast, of course. Make sure that you leave a nice 5-star written review on that. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. SBRpicks.com/NCAAF is the college football gambling website for all of your needs in that department. Chris, is there anything else we need to hit today?
That's it, brother.
That is it. All right, you guys have been fantastic. Thank you. Terry said, "Get those commercials under control on the podcast, blowing my damn eardrums out." I thought I'd already switched that up. So I will, I'll go back and check it out. But either way, I'll listen. I'll let you know. Either way, you guys are great. Thank you so much. We are going to get out of here for now. I've got a few things that I have to finish up before we go knock out another show this evening. But you guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully we can cash some tickets with the Super Bowl this weekend. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice review.